Welcome on in, everybody. We're going over the first 2 days of Browns minicamp, and we are going to be looking at a few key points and a few key players. So, welcome on into Brownstown, and let's get right on into it. Right now, it's easy to see. Anybody who's watched any of the clips, I've watched pretty much everything that's out there. So I've got a pretty good feeling about what's going on here in the Browns quarterback situation. I said it before, Watson and Sanders are both OTA winners. They both played really well the first 2 weeks. Unfortunately, in week 3, Watson started missing. He didn't just miss, he missed really bad. And it's usually on passes between 7 and 12 yards. That middle ground that is so important. And he was throwing interceptions. Still made some beautiful deep passes. And that is pretty much the staple for his entire career, is he's going to hit that beautiful deep ball. But those mid-range passes on camp day 1, if you look at that ESPN Cleveland tracker, it's not going to tell you. He threw an interception. And it was a ball that was thrown over the middle into double coverage, about 4 or 5 yards away, at least double coverage. Tipped, and number 92, I'm not exactly sure who that is, ended up intercepting the pass. And that was courtesy of Well Off Media. They posted that video, so thank you to them. And day 2 was pretty much the same thing. He had a few beautiful deep balls, but he was intercepted by Ronnie Hickman in a pass that was inconceivable, to be quite honest. It was a 5-yard pass right in front of him, and I'm not sure what he was looking at. Ronnie Hickman just ran up, grabbed the ball, pick 6. And had Carson Swester not batted down a ball, looked like Hickman was going to get another. Now, he played better in 7-on-7, which is, nice for pitch and catch, get your confidence back up, but in 11-on-11s, he did not do well in either day, whether he was second string or first string. He didn't do badly. He was just average. And that, when you're in a quarterback battle, average ain't going to cut it. Shedeur Sanders, while Deshaun Watson's trying to stack days and good practices, Shedeur Sanders is in the middle of stacking weeks of good ones. And in the first day of minicamp, he was checking out plays, had great timing. Pretty much everybody who was there seen it and commented on it. Completed 83% of his passes, or somewhat close to that. The stat tracker said it was 83%. From the tape I watched, that was pretty accurate. And that was with the first team on day 1. He did some QB draws. He threw 2 touchdowns to Boston and Bond, and he was great in 11-on-11s. He was actually better in 11-on-11 than he was 7-on-7. So that is one of the big takeaways that I saw from the Shedeur Sanders thing. It was elite accuracy, where Watson did a very nice job of getting the ball into playmakers' hands, Shedeur got it into their hands in tighter windows. Deshaun had good mechanics. Shedeur had improved mechanics. So at this point, I'd say Shedeur is quite a bit ahead of Deshaun, but I can also see why Coach Monken is keeping the competition open. Doesn't want anybody to get comfortable by a chance. He's a new coach. He wants to see everything. And naming a starter before seeing anybody in pads, probably not the best thing for somebody in his situation. So I can see what's going on, but at the same time, we're going to have to look and say, we're starting to pull away here with Shedeur. So at some point, they're going to have to make hierarchy. And if Shedeur runs away with another practice tomorrow, I don't see how they're going to be able to keep him down out of that situation. Now, the thing I'm really looking at here is the offensive line, because that is really important, especially after last year's debacle. And I've been looking at it. Spencer Fano finally got in the mix with the first team in, I think it was the last 2 days of minicamp. And interesting enough, that was when Jared first came in. Now, if you're lining up against Jared first, something Myles Garrett said about Joe Thomas was that Joe Thomas helped him more than anybody when it came to learning how to be a professional and become the pass rusher that he ended up eventually becoming, going against him every day in practice. And a lot of Spencer came when he was going against first in those first 2 days. So I'm hoping that the same rub happens here. Because Verse, two-time Pro Bowler, Defensive Rookie of the Year 2024, if he can rub off on Fano the way he rubbed off on Myles Garrett, and Fano can stop thinking as much about what he's doing and just be natural with it, be a very good situation for not only Fano, but also the Browns as a whole. And you also have to look at the stabilizing factor with Elgton Jenkins. He was playing with the first team center in the first 2 days. And Jenkins is kind of being used as that anchor, that veteran leader for the offensive line. But you also have to look at what Jenkins can do overall. Because Jenkins doesn't have to start at center to be the leader of the offensive line this year. Because he had his most productive seasons at right guard. But at the same time, that really depends on rookie Parker Brailsford. Brailsford is being looked at as a possible starter. And today wasn't his best day as far as Brailsford. Speaking of Brailsford, he ended up not having a great snap, or two out of the shotgun. His assignments were pretty good, but he's got to get that snap down. You can't have wayward snaps. And so he was a little shaky today on that. But working with both Sanders and Watson, two guys that know what they're doing, working inside that pocket, so that's going to help. And he's also working against the starting defensive tackles. Now we know Mike Hall is out. He ended up with a hyperextended right knee at the end of OTAs. But also Mason Graham is out with a walking boot. Now, we don't know why. Coach Monken wouldn't say why. So I'm not going to speculate on it because I don't know what happened. I don't know how it's going. So I'm not going to speculate on that injury. But as far as starters go, Brailford's going to be working against these guys, and he has been working against some of the veterans. So that's only going to help him as well, in much the same way that working against Versus helping Spencer Fano. And now for the really fun part, because I am really excited right now. You have three receivers: Bond, Boston, and Concepcion. These three guys right now are absolutely spectacular. And they are really fun to watch. Especially David Boston. I have run BCB there. An old kick on. If anybody remembers the old Golden State Warriors teams with Run TMC, Timmy Hardaway, Mitch Richmond, and Chris Mullen. Kind of a play off that. They go fast, they go strong, and they make you pay for it. And right now, Bond and Concepcion are doing their thing. They've been in motion, they're showing their athleticism, they're running past people. They are doing everything they need to do. And the only thing that these quarterbacks have to do, keep up with them. Because they are causing confusion. They're causing confusion against the linebackers, they're beating the corners deep, they're beating the linebackers over the middle. It is absolute pandemonium with those two. And like I said in the first OTA video, that Concepcion had concentration issues. Those look like they're starting to settle themselves out, which I thought they would, but stranger things have happened in the NFL, so I wasn't going to put my money on it. But it looks like everything's going well. Looks like it was just a playbook thing where he was getting used to the speed of the game, the playbook, and everything, and he was thinking too much. And I think that has cleared up a lot of the drop issues for Concepcion. And that's something that I'm really happy with in the first 2 days of camp. And with Bond, he's getting closer to making a case, not be the number 2 receiver, but he's making a case to be the number 1 receiver with his performance here so far this offseason. Now, we're also looking at somebody else who's making that case, the exact same case, and that's David Boston, or Denzel Boston. David is his father, not that David Boston. I mean, we learned that. It's not that David Boston, but it's still David Boston. That's his father. I'll make that mistake every now and then, but it's Denzel Boston. And he is showing some of the most uncanny hands and ball awareness that I've seen in a couple of years from any receiver coming out of the draft. He's also showing a great determination on ball fakes. He's getting a head fake in there. He's getting in the end zone. He's doing all these different things that you need to do. And it brings me back to draft night. I was watching the draft, and Andrew Berry called him, and he said, "Yeah, I'm a little pissed off." And a little pissed off, Berry told him, "Well, bring that energy to Browns camp." And, well, he's bringing that energy. And it's not even close. So, right now, if I'd have to say, it looks like Boston, Bond, and Concepcion are the three top receivers in camp. They're the three top receivers in OTs. Makes you think. And so let's see how this keeps going, because they're the top three receivers in training camp. That's going to bring an interesting situation to the forefront. But remember, you're going to have more of the number one guys in training camp. So it's going to be a tougher road for them. And with Boston, he's also, if you really look back at it, look at Larry Fitzgerald a little bit. Watch some of his tape. Then watch a little bit of Boston's camp. You'll start to see a few similarities. I'm not saying he's as good as Fitzgerald, but you'll start seeing the similarities in the two. And then get back to me on that, because I think that is a great problem to have right now with Boston, Bond, and Concepcion. And that will do it for our first 2 days of Browns camp. And so remember to hit that ding-a-ling down below, secure your place at the bar for our next episode, and hit that like, share, and subscribe to let everybody know that you are here at the pub, right here in Brownstown. This has been Joseph Potter, and remember, the shot's on us.